Morning. Welcome to the January 21st, 2022 American Rescue Plan Act. We call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order. Roll call? Yeah, roll call, please.
Holt.
Yep.
Awful. Yep. Sure.
Yep.
Ducat.
Yes. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We have public comments. Moving on, discuss, review, and take action on the ARPA applications. We'll start right out with number 31, which will be the Airquay Mental Health Center communication to upgrade the phones. You want a presentation to us about the application? I'm sorry, no, you're with me. I was scripted, I am next, I'm sorry. I just talked to Doug this morning. Is there anybody here with IMA? So you want to deliver it?
Okay, so the application 31 is for Iroquois Mental Health in the amount of $78,403.96. The reason for funding is communication to upgrade phone systems at the Watsika office and throughout the agency. They have attached a narrative. They also have attached looks like here, a quote from CNG. And they also have provided financials.
So not only are they going to have us buy the phones, but they want us to do a monthly hosting fee of $1,900.11. You see that too?
Yeah. So obviously one of the questions is can they pay that beyond the use of the ARPA funds?
I would think a bigger question is the fact that they're wanting to do this outside of Iroquois County. Their offices in Mantino, Kankakee, and Danville.
For your county. We also got just for reference. And then they have to settle the whiteboard. And we get 585 every year for multiple years. If you can contact somebody, please ask them to come to the next meeting.
Sure, I can have that.
It would give a better understanding. We can answer some of our questions. If you want to email them to.
Okay, I will get in contact with them and ask for a representative as well as if they can pay for the monthly fees after the initial ARPA funds, and also question about the offices outside of the county.
Anything else, Charlie? Anything? John, anything else?
Well, I just get back to that question about offices outside the county. I don't think there's much debate there. I know the questions come up before. We went to 7 for funding. Their funds being used outside the county, that's a serious problem. One that would really made perfectly clear from them as to where they're using the money, because it gets commingled in such a way that it's pretty hard to track them.
Right.
All that being said, as far as ARPA funds go, I don't know how an organization like that would be able to apply for money or benefit from it, but nevertheless, that's something we have to look at from our standpoint. So I would have serious questions improving anything from them to begin with.
Okay.
there any questions you have, or?
I got a question. If they serve outside the county, are we supposed to serve just the county alone? I mean, or so percentage of the counties, or they will be operating more efficiently than probably the bigger area we're serving. It shouldn't be a hindrance to them in a way.
Agree. Go ahead, John.
It's a very deep question. If you go and talk to people from other counties like Kankakee County, they do not appreciate their intrusion up there. And I can tell you that from first-hand experience.
Appreciation is one thing, but
Well, I'm trying to say it in a nice way, Charlie. They just assume they weren't there. Because they want their own programs to flourish.
well, we're not in a position to tell them to put in your own program.
We had a similar case, if you remember, back in 2013 with our public health department wanting to do business over in Indiana.
Don't remind me of that whole session.
But there's some parallels here.
I don't think it is. I'll tell you, there's more to that program than what you're stating today.
My thought is, if they came to us with something that was within the county,
Yeah.
that percentage, that might be a possibility.
I thought about that as a percentage, but
Right.
on the other hand, is that viable either? I don't know. I think you and I are thinking the same ways. I like it, but is it the total answer to the whole problem?
And we won't know until they sit here and tell us what
Yeah,
the plan
okay, I'm
is.
sorry, I'm ahead of things.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to number 32, Iroquois mental health.
Same thing.
Same situation.
Okay.
Also, just, you know, if you're just speaking out loud, $163,000 for computer upgrades. So are we just getting new computers for everything? I mean, I thought this, how does this go? Do they have an idea? I haven't read it yet. Even any COVID response to what they're asking for?
Not that I have read,
That's why we need a representative.
I looked at it last night, I didn't see nothing in there.
yeah, not that I have read in either one of those applications, which is one of the questions that I wrote down as well.
You know, the same thing plus two. Okay. Do you have anything else, Joe?
No.
That one, all right. 33, Iroquois County Historical Society, repairs to the old courthouse, $215,000. Somebody represent?
Oh, I don't have there.
Only if you want to.
Okay.
The Iroquois County Historical Society is requesting $215,500.
10:30.
And they did provide a narrative with the explanation that, since COVID, the number of visitors to the museum has gone down, and they've not been able to have the usual fundraisers, especially harvest days. And when they did have it, it was not as well as attended as it has been in the past. So some of the things that they would like to do is to use the funds, for repairs on windows, a boiler, parking area, a laptop, and lights, as well as, maintenance or repairs on the outside landscaping. They have applied, or they did attach their PPP application and, the status of it being complete.
Did you have an opportunity to email them, see if they could have a representative?
I can do that.
That way we can go over some of those.
The only other thing that I'm gonna add is since part of the reasoning is for revenue loss due to lack of visitors and, attendance at harvest days, that they provide, something to show that, a profit and loss report, just something to show that they've had.
Financials of some sort.
Right.
Just hold off that one for next meeting, so okay with you.
Have any of those?
Number 30.
34. The breadbasket, food inventory supplies for 10,000.
Is there a representative for the breadbasket food pantry?
Not on here.
Okay, so the request is for $10,000. States that it is for negative economic impacts for food programs as well as any nonprofits. Bread Basket Food Pantry provides food and creates positive differences in families and especially the Watsi community. They've been in business for 2 years, and they had started in February of 2020 when the virus started. They serve approximately 1,200 households and 3,500 individuals in 2020, and in 2021, they served almost 1,500 households and 4,100 individuals. They have had 95,390 pounds of food delivered to the facility. Their numbers have doubled, and they would like to keep the community alive. They rely on 100% of volunteer work. And they utilize the community service through the probation department at Iroquois County.
What would the 10,000 go towards?
It sounds like to me, unless I've read it wrong, that it's gonna go towards, the purchase of food to be distributed.
I have a question for them. Are they part of the Eastern Illinois Food Bank?
Okay.
Or is she a standalone?
I think once again, it'd be best to have somebody who represents, we can ask them questions. They probably will need financials also for us to see.
Yeah, because I would like to know where their
Right.
food purchases or donations came from prior to.
No, I'm happy to have somebody like this in our community, but we still need to find out.
Right. And if it would be sustainable after.
Correct.
Okay, we'll email those questions.
We will move on to 35, Garage and Gilman. Desired funding is 45,000. You want to read up on that, Joe?
Sure. Is there a representative here from the Garage and Gilman? Okay, the desired funding is for 45,000. They listed, aid to nonprofit organization as the reasoning. They also provided a narrative stating that it is the community center that's committed to providing a safe and comfortable place for youth programs, such as activities for senior citizens and a meeting place for local organizations. They primarily serve the Iroquois West communities and stated that their programs are open to all. They were established as a 501c3 organization in 2015 and have since grown their programs. They tried to stay open as much as possible throughout the pandemic, but their ability to hold fundraisers for programming and projects was impacted They are applying for $45,000 to be used to make improvements in accessibility and energy efficiency to the building, and to also improve the ability to provide services through inflation and future economic downturns. They plan to put in handicap accessible door, in which they've already raised $3,500 towards this project. They also would like to do upgrades and in order to meet the ADA accessibility guidelines. Also heating and cooling efficiency improvements, any sort of energy efficient concession appliances or equipment, facility updates to serve as a warming cooling station during extreme weather situations. States in here the odds. The historic building they use is located in downtown Gilman, and the projects and programs described above help to accomplish any sort of goals in the community and surrounding areas.
Do we have any information as to whether or not they own that building?
No,
Donated.
I think it was donated to them.
We had a man that owned it, died, and.
Yeah, Coates, is it Coates? Yeah, yeah, thank you. But I think it did get donated, but I can, follow up on that.
I live in Gilman, and I know this, organization very well, and they do very good things for the kids. Help them stay off the streets and get in trouble, and I think it's a good thing.
No, I agree. I was there about 10 years ago when the Santa train was coming through town, and they had the opportunity to open up their place, and they sold, I don't know, popcorn or something, so all this stay inside, kept us warm while the trains were, so it's a good thing for the community.
And I do believe it is being used as a polling place
It was,
Yes.
okay.
for the county due to them needing, social distancing requirements that were not met at the previous location.
I would think we need to invite them to the next meeting. I think we need to,
This is, did they give the city of Gilman also funds like we have to spend student on that?
they can only use it for infrastructure. They can only use it for infrastructure for the
They can use
situation.
temporary polling places.
For the streets, the roads, for that.
That's all they can't use it for a building? I mean, it should go through the city first.
Well, I think that because it's in the summertime, they can open, they have like a garage door that they can open. And so it can be accessed by anybody that would need to utilize the polling place that is, let's say, wheelchair bound because the door is.
I think it should.
I don't know, that's just mine.
See if we're
Jill, is there
But I
anything on?
think there's a step into where they go and poll.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
I thought each
Does
corporation
it-
should go through there
Town
first
have,
and be
like,
rejected before.
for infrastructure, could they use some of theirs finances for this?
Say that again.
I don't know the rules for the town's infrastructure broadband. I know ours are much more broad than what theirs are, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that I'm doing some more research
I
on
know it's,
whether or not any of that would apply.
you know, the minor questions are gonna be code related,
Yeah.
financials. Yeah, it's a good program, but we still need to have somebody here to have a conversation with them to, get their goals, make sure they can keep it running afterwards,
Sure.
that type of stuff. Anybody else have any questions for him? Now we're on the right one. IMH. The carpet, parking lot, and for the pharmacy. Since we have a representative, let's see what we'd like to present to us.
Sure, I'll just start. I'm Mike Tilstra, the CEO for a week so far, so I also have Sean Lansky with me. Sean's been with IMH for quite a bit longer. Sean is the CFO and COO and has got a long history in managing hospitals, so expertise in what the equipment is, I'll just start by saying that I do believe our request, meets the need of a greater community, and I think they're long-term tangible assets where, I always like to say, what are you gonna have, to show for your money? I think these are excellent assets that for a long time could be, will be utilized in the community. Also, I think it affects the lives of thousands of people because the hospital, and for what this does, it's for greater community that will benefit. Also, they're all linked to COVID, so there are reasons within the realm of COVID and the medical necessity that each one of these have become more necessary. So, having said that, Sean wants to go through each one, or if you want to ask questions, how you want to handle this stuff.
Probably is for us to go through it, and then we can ask questions that maybe something that we didn't catch.
Yep, I can do that. And thanks, good morning. So the first one is pertaining to carpeting. We've got several clinical areas in the hospital that are carpeted. CDC guidance and Joint Commission, which governs our accreditation for the hospital, is very adverse to carpeting in clinical areas for a number of reasons, primarily as it relates to COVID infection control. Obviously, cleaning carpet is very difficult. It doesn't lend itself to a hard surface, which is more easily cleanable for patient care. So there's this particular request to actually replace all the clinical areas in the hospital that are currently have carpeting that needs to be replaced with hard surface, which is more cleanable and provides more infection control. The second one is the parking lot. For those that have been over in the campus, for COVID, we've had a lot of patients that have used our drive-up testing. Because of that increased usage in that area, we've got some significant depressions in the concrete now that need to be replaced and resurfaced. So the parking lot areas, which has also seen much more increase in demand from patients for COVID, has experienced a lot more, obviously, wear and tear, requiring us to really provide some maintenance for that. We've got a lot of safety issues with concrete that's falling apart and the like in our patient parking areas due to increased usage. The next one is pertains to an upgrade for our patient monitoring system. The telemetry system is really, in short, it's a system that monitors patients that come into the hospital that are admitted. It tracks their oxygen levels and other vital signs. And without this particular upgrade, of course, we've got a lot of COVID patients that are still admitted to our facility. So those patients have a lot of respiratory distress issues. This system will allow us to upgrade our system so we're able to better monitor those patients that are admitted to the hospital. Without this particular upgrade, we're likely going to have to just transfer some of our patients out to other facilities that can better manage those high-risk COVID patients. Lastly is an upgrade for our pharmacy system. This is a system that is essentially deployed throughout the hospital. It provides both COVID medications as well as COVID supplies that we'll call the point of care, which is essentially where the care is being provided to the patient. So it allows us to essentially lessen the interaction between the pharmacy staff and our clinical staff, and provides better protection for the staff to not be exposed to COVID, but more so provides more immediate, on-the-spot deployment of critical medications as well as supplies to the patient more quickly than obviously going back and forth to the pharmacy to get those supplies. So that would be the last item there, the pharmacy upgrade system. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any more details needed.
The one for the parking lot, are you resurfacing the entire parking lot?
We will.
It's been in bad shape for many years.
Yeah, it's been in bad shape for, you're absolutely right. It's been in bad shape for a while. I think it's been, more so particularly the driveway because of the increased usage for patients. Drive-up testing has seen, I think, a more rapid acceleration of the deterioration of the parking area.
So this is all on the north side of the building?
It is.
What about the pharmacy system? Is that for software?
That actually just for hardware, so it literally is a system that is a hardware where the nurse can go over and actually on the spot get medication and supplies for the patient up on our inpatient units and other places throughout the facility.
And these would all be long-term assets that will incur ongoing costs.
Are all these prices numbers pretty accurate? Do you have quotes for all this work?
We do have recent quotes for all these.
That's all I
Just out of curiosity, how many, COVID, do you know, right off the top of your head, how many COVID patients you've treated since this started? I know you might not have been,
Yeah,
it's just a curiosity.
Sure,
question.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't have the number off the top of my head. What I can tell you is that, our inpatient unit, even as we sit here today, is more or less full of COVID patients. So we've seen in fact, we're actually working on trying to do a project upstairs for negative pressure, and we've actually had to push that off for several months because we've been full with COVID patients out there. But we've seen a significant increase both in outpatient, of course, testing, vaccine administration, COVID testing, as well as treatment, both on the outpatient side and the inpatient side. But we can certainly provide more specific numbers.
What's the negative pressure, thing you're working on?
Yeah, so that was actually funded through FEMA, so it allows us to put really high risk, more critical patients in a room, and it circulates the air at a much more rapid rate to expel that air out, so that we're keeping the patients safe, as well as our staff that are interacting with that patient and treating that patient.
That's interesting.
So the pressure is not pushing the air out of the room or into other rooms.
It's going out.
Yes, it's a negative pressure in the room, so you're not affecting the other areas.
Thank you.
Great, John.
What percentage of your patients have been COVID related during the whole cycle?
I don't have that number.
Quite high, is it?
It's been a pretty significant increase.
Have you had to turn down any other minor type things in other patients, or?
No, staff have been really stepped up to fill in the gaps, and, expanding hours and times and so forth to try to make sure we're meeting the needs of, we still have a lot of preventative needs that patients have that we're trying to make sure we don't fall behind on, because those are, obviously if we're not taking care of those preventative needs, that's going to impact this, patients and the community actually in the long term. So we're trying to make sure we're staying current on those things.
Have you had a greater increase in your employee costs because of the pandemic?
We have, and also to the extent that we, over the course of the pandemic, as you likely know, the state has been, had mandates to reduce elective surgeries and those kinds of things. So we have not laid off any staff. We kept that staff on board. We just simply use them for other things in the facility to help offset some of the things that you talked about in terms of taking care of patients in other ways.
Any other questions? John, you good?
Yeah, I think so. I believe that this request falls under the healthcare provisions of the use of ARPA funds, so I think it's something that we done with it.
No, we want to keep the hospital and the county going, that's for sure. Everything's COVID related, and obviously once the funds, if they were accepted by the county board, you'd be able to keep them going afterwards, correct?
Absolutely.
That'd be another question. Jill, do you have any questions you want to ask him?
I do not.
Gentlemen, thank you both for coming in. Thank you. You guys take it off if you don't want to. This is save you. Can I get your cell phone number though before you guys inform you? That's a phone call. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to move to the Iroquois County Goat Producers, and I believe there's somebody here on there, correct?
Yep.
You want to go ahead and present yourself, sir?
Morgan Wagner with the Iroquois County Milk Producers. Looking to put up a permanent building structure out there for the goats. Been raising money over the last couple of years on this, trying to get something going. The great to see a lot of young kids and families and 4-Hers come in and actually sit down and work with the animals and learn responsibility and, you know, care and proper use of them. I was 41.
So you are operating out of a tent, the goats?
That is correct. Yes, it has always been a tent since it's been going.
And do we have other animals in tents out there, or?
That currently, right now, that is the only one.
This building was allowed, I'm not there yet. Currently, who owns the property, will they allow the building to be built?
Yes.
Are we talking about at the fairgrounds?
Yes.
Is it enclosed or will it be open?
It'd be basically the exact same thing of the current buildings out there, just a little bit different design, but essentially the same.
And how do they stay warm out there? Well, they don't.
In the summertime, they're fair, so.
That's true, it gets pretty hot.
Right.
You have current bids from,
Yes, I
anyone?
do.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get everything.
Who owns all the buildings out there?
The fair actually owns them.
Actually, this wind up.
Eventually, yes.
How does that work? So you are an organization, the Iroquois County Goat Producers are an organization?
That is correct. So we,
A 501c3?
that is correct.
Okay, so go ahead.
So the fair with all the cutbacks the state has made throughout the number of years that come actually to the fair itself. The funding is there for the fair to build it ain't quite there. So as long as we were able to raise the money and get all the funds appropriated for that, the fair board has allowed us to put a building up out there.
So then will you give the building to the fair board?
It will be donated, yes.
Donated?
Yep. So essentially, currently, the last building, that was donated like that would be the draft horse barn. Do the same thing, all that money was raised beforehand, and then they donated that building to the fair.
You currently have $50,000 for the building itself, or
Correct.
you're asking for 48.5.
Yep, that's
You'll offset that 50,000,
right.
is that right?
No, go with it.
Go with it?
Go with it, yeah.
That's what I was considering.
Right, yeah, so currently, you guys got a copy of the one bid, that is the lowest bid we have out there currently. I have 2 others that are significantly higher than that.
Oh, I see.
We do have 3 bids now.
Yes.
That's.
Yeah, but currently, you guys have a copy of the lowest bid.
Question I'll ask is, I'm reading this, I'm happy you're here. So how is this COVID related?
Mental health for the kids, being able to come in, if you're ever out there, I invite you to come out here, spend some time. You'll see not only the 4-H families with their livestock and throughout all the barns, people coming in from the cities that can't have animals or whatever. Goats are a simple, easy thing for those kids to come up to. And usually that time of year, we have a couple families intentionally have baby goats around that time frame, and just to see the looks on those kids' face. And, you know, it just brings a whole new, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but anyway, it's just, it helps them mentally. And it's real simple and easy. We've got several families currently right now that actually live in town that have a little bit of space. That's a project they can have of their own and still be able to take care of their animals and what have you.
Well, I'll help you in your description on that. I had a granddaughter come down this last summer from ARPA, Michigan. She fell in love with the goats.
Yeah, right.
She
Right,
never
and
saw-
I mean, it's, you know,
She never saw a goat before.
right, and it's something you you don't ever really think about it, think of it, so, you know, I'll give you an example, on Sunday, the fair had the no admission day. And if you're out there on Sunday, that fairground is packed. So the amount of people that came in further north of us, like from the Kankakee areas, I mean, even around, people come walking through all the barns. It was just amazing, just, you know, the kids, you could tell they thoroughly enjoyed all that.
This is largely for the 4-H kids, right? Do you have
Yes.
open goats? Is there an open class for goats where?
There is currently, but the way that is set up, we do have an open show. If you show in the open class, you have to be there all week. It's not just to show up one day and leave.
So you have to be part of the fair.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, if you wanna participate in the open show, not only the open show, but you can also show in the junior show as well, and have that.
How did the previous, 50,000 get, was that raised through
That was
fundraising or?
That was raised, I was able to, this summer I worked very hard, I got about 28,000 in donations throughout the summer. Prior to that, we had multiple fundraisers off and on, but
Now these fundraisers were something that you couldn't no longer have?
that is correct. So we were struggling trying to get fundraisers. There was some online activity that never really gained a lot of traction, versus being able to have like, you know, some deals we've done in the past, certain things.
Do we have, individuals coming in from out of the county, showing their goats, traveling here to be part of our fair?
There are a few families that do that. The Ford County, for example, they do not have a meat goat class. They have a dairy class, but they do not have meat goats. So actually, the Ford County kids come up here and show in Iroquois County.
We have Iroquois County kids that go to other counties.
Sure.
Right.
I know that we're some of them, but
Yeah,
I was,
there's a couple families that, come down to Kankakee County that show in the junior and open class.
I was
Currently.
trying to look under 2.11, aid to tourism, travel, and hospitality. I was trying to help.
Gotcha.
How long do you anticipate a building like this, if it were to be built, would you have any kind of a life expectancy protection for how long this building is gonna last?
It'd be no different than the other buildings that are out there, John. I mean, it's gonna be there to stay, so, I mean.
You,
The life of the building is also dependent on the quality of the materials that are used to construct.
That is correct, and that's why there's,
Your quote from Eisman doesn't really specify any of that. Just curious to know what kind of, for example.
it's not like running to Menards and picking the stuff off the shelf, if that's what you're trying to get at. They've got, there's different, treated lumber that they use, different than what you're gonna buy at Menards. This is, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with Eisman, but he's a top-notch builder, he does really good. And there's no corners cut, so,
But I'd like to know what the materials are gonna be. For example, on your post, are these gonna be SPF or southern yellow pine? There's a huge difference in cost as well as quality of material.
yeah, it's not specified in there, but I know all of his lumber comes out of the Graver buildings in,
That doesn't,
right.
could we ask for a breakdown, would that be okay? Could you get that from Eisman?
Mhm.
I think that would be, because I think from the county's interest in the fairgrounds.
Cause we met with, Jeff Meyer on this too, just to make sure everything's gonna be up to code because of that. You know, to make sure we had everything in place on there, he gave us the green light on that. There's other buildings that we originally quoted, the structures and designs of them, I guess, would be up to par, I guess is how you wanna say that. So, I know where you're getting at, John, so.
Questions I got for you, how long did it take you to raise that 50,000?
Over a couple of years it took. I mean, that's, you know, the first year going on 19, we, was pretty slim pickings that year, just because, everything was going on and what have you. And then
Question.
following year we had COVID, and then was able this summer to reach out to several people and got some decent donations.
No, that's fantastic. So I'm looking at this and I'm looking at your quote, and you've got about 50,000 already allotted for, which is fantastic. If ARPA funds were available to do the 22,232 to get the down payment going for you, going forward, do you believe you could raise the funds with the goat producers to take care of the rest of it?
Right.
And then keep it after the completion is done, to keep it going?
Mhm.
I just want to let you know it might be a less amount
Yeah,
if
and that's-
possible.
We had talked about that, I didn't know how to exactly put it on the application.
No, that's okay, that's
So
why
I
you're here,
figured-
that's
so
fantastic.
I figured to make sure I'm here so we can answer these questions, so, yeah, no, I'm fine with that, there's a, you know, we're just looking for any and all donations. We're still currently working with grants, a lot of the grants we have written, they like to see physical things that it goes to. So that's kind of one thing, you know, if, you know, going back to that, is, we had the money there, then we got another handful of grants that would come in, because they can show what the actual money went to.
Because you have a structure in place.
Right, yep.
When can I ask a question of the panel?
Go ahead.
A question on how are the county exhibitors? My feeling is that shouldn't be judged as something negative to what we grant to the fair.
Oh, I
No,
don't think
not
it
at all.
is negative, I think it's a positive
Yeah.
to
That's
go
what I
to
wanna
that
make
other
sure we're-
foundation.
Because those people go back with a better perspective in Iroquois County, and liable to bring some other business, if not more goats.
Well, the nice thing with the goats is it's with any animal 4-H, it gives the kids a chance to have
I just wanted to clarify that.
The
what do you want to
reason
call
I
it?
asked
It's a
that
life,
was
to teach an animal to do something correctly.
Right. It teaches the kids
Responsibility.
responsibility, you know, that, you know, that's their project, and especially some of the younger ones, when they first come in and they show first place in their class, just the look on their face is just unreal. And in all the departments out there, it doesn't matter what it is.
Well, I like the project, I like the idea, but I wanna know more about the materials, because I know a lot about lumber. I spent a lot of years working in the lumber industry, and I know how easy it is to get fooled and get into materials that aren't gonna last very long. And I'd be happy to talk to you about my pole barn if you'd like, and I can even show it to you, and show you the difference.
Well, yeah,
And the difference in money may only be a few $1,000s, but I would much rather see us put a building up that's gonna be there for a while, as opposed to something that might be subject to iron rot or some of the other kinds of conditions that happen in these buildings in a relatively short period of time.
I have one thing real quick. Could you get an agreement between, the goat producers and the 4-H, or not the 4-H, the fairgrounds, that, would state that once that's theirs and it's legal to do this? I don't have any paperwork in front of me that, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a binding agreement.
Yeah, right now it's one tentative handshake, but.
I think that needs to be just something in paperwork, so that way
Okay.
we can see where it's going. That'd be one thing.
Can you go through your math again with me, all of this, what you were thinking?
So in 2 years, they've done $50,000, which is amazing. I applaud you for that, sir. They need another, and if it's a little different, let me know. As I did the math, 2,000 $22,232. I don't know if you need more or less, you just said approximately 50,000. That would get the down payment, that would get the building started. I believe through, the Go Producers with 4-H, you could, come up with the rest of the funds. That would be available if there is the opportunity that the county board does approve something like this.
Do you think you can get the rest?
Yep. The goal is, the goal is to have that out this year. I'll give you a little background history on that. Fred Price has donated, or put the tents up out there throughout the years. It was very minimal in cost, very minimal. So there was not a lot of effort put to trying to put a building up because the tents were cheap. Fred sold out. The cost is 3.5 times right now for a tent, same thing. So now the effort is, they're seeing that, hey, with that money out there being spent every year for that, plus the other going down, and with that external company, if anything happens on the weekend, it'll be there the following Monday. But that's kind of like push a little bit harder, I guess.
I would think we need to invite her back, Jill, next month, bring the agreement with you between the fairgrounds and yourself. We might have more questions for you, maybe you can show John, the building, what do you want to call it, the building, materials. Give us a better understanding, obviously, he understands building materials better than I do.
Right.
I look at the numbers and, overall, and no matter what, it's a great thing for the children. It's the same thing we just did with the 4-H. I actually went over that with Kirk, and talked to him about it. I don't wanna go off on it, but, it's a little frustrating. I believe 4-H has to give $13 to the state of Illinois to, to even be in 4-H, and then they get like $6 or $7 back. It's basically Illinois, it's just sticking it to the kids,
Yep.
which is crap, so, I'm happy we approved that last month's meeting. That's all I have for, do you have anything?
I'd be happy to get together with you if you'd like and give me some ideas of what I was specifically talking about, if that'd be helpful.
Yeah, just let me know, John. You have my number?
No, I don't.
What's your number?
Mine, right here,
What's your number?
630-774-7511.
Okay. When is the next meeting? You guys
We haven't stated it yet, that's what he'll call you and let you know, that's okay with you.
Yep, that'd be fine.
The only other question I got, I'm just thinking about as we're talking, once it becomes the fairs, is it gonna be their responsibility to keep taking care of that, or is it gonna be the Go Producers?
It's the fair, should be a fair building. Depending on the improvements and stuff that are being done, we would do that. So, if we decide to, put just a ceiling fans in there for air movement, if we decide to put concrete down, if we decide to do something else, the Go department would raise the money for that, for the fair. So that way the fair would be able to better spend their money on the other stuff out there.
Charlie, any other questions? And John, okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Before any of you get away, just let me say, I got confused on the time and I apologize for being late.
I'll take the blame for it.
We have a 1 o'clock public hearing too, so
Thank you.
thank you guys.
All right, we'll move on to number 38, St. Paul's Lutheran Church. Do we have, Dan,
I'm here.
if you want to present it, please, sir?
My name's Danny Mushrush, representing St. Paul Lutheran Church in Gilman. We're asking for $27,000. Basically, the biggest part of it is putting the roof on the building. We have raised, we were anticipating 3 or 4 years ago that we would be needing a new roof. We started the roof fund. We have raised $17,000. The cost of the roof, total cost is $42,338. Also, the men's restroom, doing some realigning of doors and stalls and stuff, and make a handicap accessible, so it'll also be used for that. Since COVID-19.
Thank you.
Of course, all the churches were shut down for several months, so we had limited income coming in. We did have some coming in, people would be mailing in their collection envelope, what have you, but it took a total, it took a toll on the church finances, and the church is just, it's not just, it's a church, but the building gets used for a lot of other things in Gilman. It's the basis for God's Food Pantry, which takes care of the residents of Gilman, Narnick, and basically our Coy West School District. Our church membership is, we have them from Menarga, Gilman, and Cleveland, Savannah, Crescent City. Do have some outside the county, but that's, we're open to anybody in the county who wants to come. The church gets used for a lot of other activities, like I said, God's Food Pantry, Vacation Bible School, and before the pandemic, between the Methodist Church, which is just, we're kind of back to back. Usually we go in together and host a citywide Vacation Bible School. We have, they have served as an emergency shelter for, like if the snowstorm or something like that, close all the roads, the church has. It's been a long time since that's happened, but we're still available. Have a place, senior citizen group that meets weekly right now, so it's open to that, so it's not just church services. Of course, attendance has been down. I just checked before I came. Normal attendance last year was 75, Monday and Wednesday combined, both services. Before the pandemic, it was around 125 to 130, so we're about 60%. And that does affect the giving. Like I said, we have raised, the bid was 42,000, we have raised 17,000, and what we're asking for the 26,000.
Julie, any questions right now? I'm still going through it.
It seems to be pretty straightforward.
Go ahead, Charlie.
We have a problem with copying I see here. I can't figure out these construction estimates at all. I mean,
Yeah, I had to look at the originals.
I'm sorry,
No, it's not just you, but I had problems pulling them off too. I don't know how it's listed. The first one that I have, we did have 3 bids, and we voted to go with Circle Construction on this.
okay.
The first one I have is a total of $26,228. That is for the church roof, the vestibule, and the bell tower. I don't know why it was split. The second bid is $16,000, and that's for the parish hall, which is attached to the church.
16,000 even?
16,110.
15,000.
The total cost is $42,338.
For 2,000 what?
$42,338.
Thank you.
No problem.
I'm sorry, I had to ask.
I had to take my camera on photo and zoom in and zoom out to see what it was, so it's not.
So you understand what
Yes,
I'm
I
looking
do.
at is kind of like, I might as well reading something out in the hall.
Right.
Thank you.
No problem.
I do have a question. I note that you have received a PPE loan and a grant from Mary Helen Roberts Fund, which I'm assuming is one of our private trusts
Yes.
here in. So could you tell us what you, used those for, and if they've been totally spent?
They have been spent for Jim, and I do have the sheets that show that. I don't know if you need that with the packet or not. The PPP loan, was, well, like I said, the first several months of the pandemic or whatever, we were shut down and had no church. The fact that it was paying wages, you know, I mean, like it or not, the church is still a business, it's a business, you know, we just got a bigger boss. So that was used for wages for the pastor, used for the wages for the administrative assistant. It was used for, utility bills.
Would you be able to provide, 2 more bids?
We do have them. We had a congregational meeting in October. It wasn't included, but I don't have the minutes of that, but we did have 2 other bids.
You can get those bids also turned into us.
Okay.
That would be nice. Do you have any questions on Jim? I know I'm gonna have to go through the final rules on this one. For my own self-serve, I gotta go through the final rules for this one, because it is a church.
Okay.
There's some paperwork I have to go through to find out exactly if I can actually, if we even have the opportunity to give you funds.
210 would be a nonprofit organization, which is what we are.
Right, but the way that they,
And it's, what he's requesting for the roof and the bathrooms would be eligible.
it is eligible?
Yes.
Yeah,
I just wanna,
Final rule basically states that it cannot be used for any religious propaganda or,
proselytizing.
proselytizing or, advertising.
for myself, I'd like to go through it. 'cause
Yes,
that's-
that's fine.
The way that they wrote is a little, you know, interesting, we'll put it.
This,
That's the best way to put it to you.
For your information, this was the low bid.
Okay.
Uh,
No, that's fantastic.
We like, what do I need to do with the other 2 bids?
If you could
I'll give
email.
you my information.
Okay.
Sorry, Joe. My house keeps falling in.
I hope we still have it, because we met in October.
Okay. Yeah, lumber changes daily.
Zirkle did, he was the winning bid, by the way, when I mentioned it. He did order the material and stuff, so it's not like it, you know, the supply chain is, shouldn't affect us, I'll put it that way. One was for the church,
Okay.
Yeah.
and the other one was for the parish hall. And they totaled the 42,000.
Right.
And the 27,000 is the difference from what we have raised,
Which was 17,000 you raised?
17,000.
You got the numbers for me? I can read it, sorry.
Sure, the total cost, and they've raised 17,000, which leaves the 25 in rescue.
So your exact number you need is $25,338, is that correct?
Well, that's for the roof, and the other is for the, changing one of the bathrooms over to the handicap, which we're doing that in-house. So that's basically for materials for the handicap, restroom.
And that's something you're not applying for?
We've included it in with what we're asking, we said we're asking for 20.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm just confused. It's on me, and maybe I don't understand, but I just see the desired fund. Where's it? I don't see, but I'm saying the only application I see is for this one.
Your total request, it says 27,000, we're
Correct.
trying to make the numbers, that works for both projects?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's why I was confused. And that is the total,
Yes.
exactly 27,000.
The bathroom is an estimate, but like I said, the roof.
No, I apologize, it's on me. For our county, I'm trying to do the best we can, and every single cent I wanna see spent within the county, so I'm just trying to keep it exactly to where it is. And I'm sorry, I apologize if I put it back on you, I'm just trying to, do what's best for the county.
Sure, I understand.
We prorate back each application. If we do that, we may have money left over at the end of the ARPA. And then that money will go back to the state of Illinois, we split again, I like Iroquois County, I don't like Cook County, so,
Never mind, I'll talk to you later.
you know what I'm saying.
Could we make quick work of these other quotes that you wanna see? Could you just tell us, are those other two quotes from Iroquois County people?
Yeah, circle is right.
No, I mean the two.
I don't, you know what, to be honest, I don't remember, I think one of them was, and one of them was possibly out of county, I can't remember.
Okay.
Okay.
They're still here to be served.
Let me do this picture.
No, you're fine, sir, take your time.
I would hate to be served somebody from the outside, that'd be awful. Sorry.
Yeah, it works out that the roof is $25,001 would be the cost of the roof. We really don't have an estimate on the bathroom, because like I said, we're doing it in-house, we're doing it ourselves. Changing some of the partitions and stuff like that, so that was just an estimate. I would assume that that's gonna be a problem without an actual statement or invoice, then we would, apply for the $25,000.
How would this sound? So if we were able to give you the desired funding of $27,000, if the estimate was over a few $100s, the church would be able to cover that?
Yes.
Would that be,
And if it's gonna be a major roadblock, you know, if we could do the $25,001, which is a deposit, it ends up with $1, but the $25,000,
right?
you know, that would work also.
No, I'm just trying to get it
You're
correct.
making a good point, because there's been a lot of price increases, which we've had to do. Where do we cut off on that, you know?
Anybody else, any questions for me? Jill, do you have anything you can think of? Thank you so much, sir, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You know what, does he have his phone number? Yes, good. All right, number 39, the Wilkins Rear Fire Protection District. They're asking for $6,000.
Yes, it is.
It is, yes, the Fire Protection District is. Reason for finding the Wilkins Rear Fire Protection had a loss from canceling fish fries, and they're asking for $6,000. They had no COVID and no PPP. Is Mr. Adset here? Is there a representative here?
And they're asking under category 6 and 6.1. This is, I know because it's down in my neck of the woods, a very small volunteer fire department, and as I read through it, let's see, they've got, what did I say, 13 volunteer firemen. And they do those fish fries twice a year to raise funds. It's pretty good.
All right. Jill, do you have anything you want to send on, or let's go ahead and put them on, go to the next one.
I guess if I could just make a comment.
Go ahead.
About the Wellington deal, not that I have made up my mind one way or another, but some of these departments, like, there are situations like this, you know, like people that drive-through fundraisers. And one wonders why they didn't do the same here. Somebody that's had a drive-through looks at something like this and says, well, maybe we should apply for money too. What do you mean a drive-through?
A drive-through breakfast or something, where you just drive up and grab the food and get in the car and keep going.
Well, sure they
I
have the
can-
reason.
I can see
Maybe
this.
not enough room.
I've had a conversation already with them, and they're very happy that of the 21 fire departments, we gave them $350,000. So they're very happy. Mr. Edson didn't know about it yet. That's the only thing that down there they did not know.
But they're not getting any of that money for what they're asking for here. That
No.
money was going for that building over in Crescent City.
For all 21 fire departments.
But they are part of Mavis as well, they're a
Right,
member.
I understand that, but
So-
they're wanting to buy equipment for their own use, but this is $6,000. Has nothing to do with Mavis, does it?
No, it's separate and apart,
That's what I was
right.
No further questions, we'll go to number 40. The Milford Park and Pool Foundation. I don't see anybody from here, from them. All right, they're asking for $9,000. Joe, I'll let you read if you don't mind with this.
Sure, the Milford Park and Pool Foundation is looking for financial support for the Milford Park and Pool, to remain a viable asset to the community. Main fundraiser is an annual golf outing, and due to health and safety concerns presented by COVID, that outing was canceled. And because of that cancellation, they lost approximately $9,000 in revenue. Revenue from the golf outings in the past have helped to purchase equipment for the pool, such as filters, covers, heater, vacuum system, which is used for cleaning the pool, and an ADA compliant lift, flow meter, as well as renovations, for the concession stand and replacement of trees in the park. The foundation also helps to enhance the park through the removal and replacement of trees, along with assisting in the completion of a toddler playground. The Milford Park and Pool Foundation is asking for the $9,000 so that they may continue to provide to the Milford Park District for enhancement of facilities, as well as health and wellness opportunities for the citizens of Milford and surrounding areas. This would be under 2.1, which is aid to nonprofit. They have provided their IRS identification letters.
Did they cancel one golf outing?
That's how I read it.
I can't remember if they canceled one or two, but I can give you, they also have some history. This is an entity separate from the park district, okay? This is a group of very industrious women and men who have raised tens of thousands of dollars to keep our pool in Milford. And what I think is one of their most greatest accomplishments is the pool had a leak. We had it patched and painted, it didn't work. They found this company that could guarantee it. We've got this, I don't know what the name of it is, fancy coating on it that's supposed to give it an extended life. And so they have a cash bash, a golf outing, and I think maybe a breakfast. I can't remember, don't hold me to that. But that project I was referring to was like between $200,000 and $300,000. That coating.
Fix the leak?
And coat the inside of the pool. The coating it's some kind of polymer, yes. So they have.
I'd have been glad to do it for half of that.
Well, I don't know, John, if you've got the expertise, but, okay. Anyway, they do good work, and they're trying to keep the pool open. And it was closed prior to the dates of what they're allowed on the application, but that's a park district question, I guess, so.
I just was wondering how many golf outings got canceled.
I know, I heard that, but I can't swear if it was one or two, but I think it's, I'm surprised, it seems to me like they canceled something else.
Yeah, go ahead, John, Charlie.
Donna might refresh her memory on it. It wasn't so long ago, they had a lot of damage to the pool because of storms in the area. And they had a lot of extra work to do at that time to get it back. It was even a question whether it opened again for a while.
It was, John, I think that was, or it was Charlie, but I do think that was pre-COVID era.
Well, I know it is, but
Yeah.
they're still recovering from
Right,
something like
the
that.
damage.
And as far as the community service, I think it's fair to say there's a number of buses from children from other small communities in the area that come there for lessons and swimming in the summertime.
They
It's more than just Milford we're talking about here.
Well, Sister used to send kids over, but I do not know if they still do.
Well, I agree with that comment, I've heard that, but I assume they're still doing it.
I don't know for sure, since you've got Prairie View over there with the
Yeah.
pool, I'm not
I think they can
crystal
sort of system
clear on
work.
that, yeah. But anyway, Milford's trying really, really hard to keep their, pool. I know that there's a cleanup day that's well supported in the park, but that's a park situation, but usually these ladies get involved, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, because they drag their husbands in to do the heavy lifting.
No, I agree, it's something great for the community. Seeing that, I'd like to invite on the next meeting, have a conversation with, I guess Mary Ronan, am I saying it right?
Right, she, in fact, yeah, Mrs. Ron is a retired teacher, she's on that committee.
I'd like to talk to her about the golf outing, find out what they make from the golf outing every year, if that is the only.
One that was canceled.
Correct, also, if that is the only fundraiser they do.
No, they do a couple
Oh,
more.
fantastic.
In fact, they're fundraising all the time.
That's, it needs to be done for the pools, pools are hard. The pool in Clifton we've had nothing but problems with, and they've got that back going, and it's fantastic for the community.
Yes, it
The
is.
towns around, I'm sure the towns around Milford, the kids come in, the parents drop them off, they get a chance to, intermingle with each other, and,
Gives parents some time alone.
yeah, and it gives kids enough exercise, and they come home at night and they go to sleep early.
There are a lot of,
Gives the parents a break.
there are some memorials too, people do for, when there's a death and things like that, so they're, after it, and I do know, I think there are 3 ladies that also attend the park meeting when they hold those, so there's some interaction between as to needs.
I would also like better details on what they're purchasing exactly. I don't want the county with the ARPA funds to just be giving money on equipment, but not knowing exactly, because of this response, we need to know exactly what it's used for, so we can report it back. And Jill, what do you have for questions for me, think?
I just would like to see some sort of financial showing
Yes.
that they had a decrease in revenue due to their fundraiser.
So if you would please email them that, so when they come and show up next month, we have a question.
Yep.
An answer. Anybody else have anything on number 40? All right. Now that we went through those,
I also, on application number 11, they have sent additional narrative and financials, as well as application 13, 24, and 27. So they got back to me with their requests as well.
I see the financials.
For,
Give me all 3 of them.
sure.
Please. How come?
Which ones did you say, Jill? 13?
Number 11.
11.
Here's 11. Here is 13. This is 24. And 27.
These handed out last meeting,
They were,
will you give me some when you get
absolutely.
12, 13 of them?
There's 11.
13, and what was the other one?
11, 13, 24, and 27. So it was for rapid assembly, addiction recovery services, the village of Menarda, and health check, health coaching.
Took a hit.
What did,
And they got 32,000.
and he asked for 848?
Yeah, he's negative, yeah, but he asked for it to help his employees, he didn't ask for it for himself, and he's still taking a hit of a loss of 32,000 himself.
He is.
He's not asking for himself, he's just asking for his employees.
What did you say was negative? 32,000?
About 32,000, a little more, a little less.
This is a refund here, you deducted it. Is that what you did?
I took both negatives and just added them together.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, yeah, it's like 32,000 loss.
That sounds reasonable enough to me.
Yeah. Or, no, either way he wants to.
What, is this for,
For rapid assembly.
no? Did you say?
That's number 13 now.
Yeah, number 15.
That's-
Yeah, this is a big one to go through.
That was our second mailing to us.
Julie, you want to summarize 13 for me?
Then there's a lot of other stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
Just some examples of what they, provide as far as services and I think that there, if I remember correctly, there's one of their studies in there, cause they kept saying they wanted to
Right.
do research, in the county, and this is for addiction recovery. Charlie, I think there's something in there for your son.
I know full well what that is.
No, it's fantastic. Let's see which one this is.
You got some additional information through all that.
There's 13 if you want to look at it. It's
Yeah, and they
about
provided
that
me with their financials
it
as
right
well.
That here, no.
Oh, I know.
This goes with it, yes.
I have questions about.
I don't know if I could go through all of this.
What do you
Four.
have questions about?
Even
Jill?
though I
Just looking at their
Like-
financials, how they would be able to sustain in Iroquois County if they were awarded the money. I mean, if you take a look at their financials, what their revenue is, their income, I'm having a difficult time seeing as to how
It's gonna be
it's
sustainable.
gonna be sustainable. My other concern is with them being based out of the Chicago area and coming into Iroquois County, kept stating that it was gonna be used for research purposes. I just want, I guess, clarification on how exactly, I don't wanna be used as a guinea pig. I mean, are there services, how exactly are the services gonna impact the citizens of Iroquois County?
Well, and I also wanna see this, be an additional resource besides the mental health.
Well, and it sounds like it
facility.
already currently is through telehealth, because they had stated several
So
times
we are using
that
that.
some,
Yes,
they're
but
being
the sheriff is
utilized.
actually going to.
We're in the works, yes.
Yeah.
The 28th, we have a meeting to kind of shore up some things.
Will that mean that they physically send someone to be on a monitor to speak to someone incarcerated, or?
They could, or they could physically come out and meet with the inmates at the jail.
Right, which, and it's stated in their information that they're currently already doing that with some other entities in the county through telehealth. So I guess my question for such a large amount of money is the purpose is for them to put a building here. What exactly is going to benefit from a building being here that they're not operating?
Do people,
I mean,
Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that their application was that they were going to use the money, buy several buildings in downtown Watsika, and they were going to rent those buildings out, use the revenue from the rent to finance their operation.
which and I don't know if that's a sustainable if that's sustainable, because there already is plenty of office spaces that are available for rent in Waseca that are not currently being utilized. So what is gonna make their buildings any more desirable for renters in order to have a revenue source coming in to sustain themselves? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Well, I understand your questions, and to me, I also wonder, I'm just not sure, and maybe we need some clarification, is that a allowable use of the money for somebody to buy a building and rent it out?
To make money off of it.
Is that an allowable use of these ARPA?
well, I think that there's a real need for an entity to just seriously address addiction in the county.
But
But-
that's not the question.
I wasn't done yet either. But I want to make sure that we're addressing addiction and, like Jill said, not being a guinea pig, and that we are compliant with the correct use of the funds. So,
I also believe in the last conversation we had, Don, with him, that this money will also be used to help those individuals that don't have the money to afford, to go see him regularly.
okay, there I guess is the whole crux of my question. What funds them? I mean, I know that if I were to go, I have insurance. So a lot of the individuals that they will be treating won't have insurance.
So for the ones that have it, he will be getting the funds from, that he'll be able to help split that up to help those that don't have.
To
the
cover-
funds.
But looking at their financials, it's not adding up. It's not adding, when you think about the number of people that seek out, help that actually have insurance versus those who are either seeking it out on their own or made to seek it out.
I'm gonna say
I
there
like
are
what
more
you're saying.
people without insurance coverage than
Here's what I
there
like
are
about it,
with.
and this is just me being very straightforward. 708 board has given $585,000 every stinking year to Airplane Mental Health. They won't come to a county board meeting, they won't talk about anything about what's going on. A lot of us have on the county board a lot of questions for them that they will not answer. That being said, we give over $50,000 to either one of these entities. We see quarterly reports from them. We can question them on everything.
And
At least we put a finger on somebody finally, because
the other question I would have for them is they did receive $200,000 from mental health, the end of
from the 708
2021.
board,
So, no, it's, the mental health cash account sent out $200,000 for the addiction recovery services. I would like to know what they're utilizing that $200,000 for currently, if it's being
Totally
utilized
agree with
for citizens within the county or if it's going back to Chicago.
do they have to answer that because it's a 708 board?
What's that?
Do they have to answer that because it's a 708 board?
I
It's the
don't
same
know.
thing with Airplane Mental Health.
That's my.
They won't answer questions. One of the things I found when I started digging into mental health in this county is Airplane Mental Health is very quiet. And doesn't come to any meetings to ask us any questions. And I've had multiple questions that I'd like to have answered. It's not just myself. There's multiples on this board that want to know where the money's going. We know nothing.
And they refuse to come?
And they won't answer.
Has anybody reached out to them?
Yes, they've been reached out to. Chad has asked them to come to meetings. They refuse to come. I know with doing this quarterly, we're gonna know where every single penny's going to. That's what I don't wanna say they're not lock and key, we get to keep tabs on them, but
What about at the end of the program, they're under no obligation to continue to report, I would guess. Only while they're getting the money and utilizing.
you're right, but at least we can know it then. We know nothing about Airplane Mental Health. Why?
So,
I'm not trying to
I understand.
say we need to just give them money, but I want to I get where you're coming with the financials, I do. But we finally have something that they can answer to. Does that make sense?
Well, a little bit.
Well, do you not want an answer? Because that's what they're doing with the 708 board.
Paul, this is a discussion that I think we need to have when we get down to the point of deciding whether we're gonna give them any money or not. 'Cause
I agree.
There's a lot to talk about here.
No, I agree with that. There's definitely a lot to talk about.
Maybe
What we wanna know is now is what more information they could give us.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
But what more information do we want?
We're not.
That's all we can do now.
Joe, what kind of information do we want?
They provided financials and what their program is intended to do and what they, and he was here, represented very well, answered questions. Now it's down, in my opinion, it's down to the committee, to make an informed decision on whether or not they want to award any funds or all funds requested. Just my 2 cents, which I already gave. I have questions about how sustainable they'll be. I also have questions about, I understand he wants to purchase a building and then rent out for income, but there's already several empty buildings and office spaces available that aren't being rented out.
My concern is this,
Purchase are the ones that are empty right now.
Right.
my concern is the money staying here in Iroquois County or going to Chicago?
I'd also like to know, which I will email him and ask, but, after looking at the end of the year financials, that 200,000, what was it utilized for? Where did it go, and is it still in the county or not?
Well, I'd like to know that too.
I don't know, I have reservations about this one.
No, I understand the
Email
financials.
him.
And, I would like to see this work, I really would.
Yeah, same here.
But I have, at the end of the day, my question is always, where does their income come from? Where does their cash flow, how do they pay the bills? I'm not sure, and I don't think there's enough, I'm just making a guess here. There aren't enough people with insurance to cover the people without insurance,
Part of
so.
it is the money that they get from the 708 board.
Well, I looked at that, so 708 actually gave them to, what was the decision, the consensus, where's that 200,000 come from? From the 708 board?
Yes.
Yeah, it comes out of the mental health.
Yeah, I know, that's levy, but the 708 board actually gave this addiction recovery $200,000.
Right, and they gave Iroquois mental health
Where's this
300.
addition?
Let's
From the 708.
Where's that?
ask a question.
I have
That's
pen, I
the
have
question.
one.
Yeah, I think we can't ask them about the 701 board because they're not connected with it or anything, so that's separate. Now, is this a long-term, I don't think so, organization? I think it's more of an upstart organization. They give us budgets perhaps, but they're probably looking for a lot of growth too. So that's the thing that have to put into consideration. And it's such a new concept here. We're
Well-
gonna have to look at it from that prospect.
Well,
If they would like to come and present more to us.
my whole reservation is if they're already helping out in this county through telehealth, what is purchasing a building?
Well, I
What
should
is
ask
that gonna
that.
do?
Right.
Because
That's a good
especially
question.
right now, everything's being done through telehealth.
Yeah, but are you-
The social distancing, are they planning on having counselors here? Are they planning on,
One of the stipulations was
bringing
they
in
had to
people
have
from
a
other
count.
counties to be helped? Because I just don't see where there's gonna be an advantage to actually having a physical location here.
I agree, but one of the stipulations of the 708 board is they had to have a building within the county.
708 board said that?
Yes.
Clint has something to say.
If I may.
Mhm.
I've talked to some of the representatives, we're actually having a meeting on the 28th.
From addiction recovery?
Yes, so one of the representatives will be in attendance at that meeting, and it's about our medical assisted recovery program that we're initiating in the jail, setting. So they said they do have a physical space, rented on Walnut Street, for the purposes of seeing people, once they get out of jail and people to the community. So they're in the process of getting to that space. So it sounds like they're already, like Paul said, they have a location.
Where are you meeting
Another
with them
question in
at?
the back of the room.
This will be, we're gonna start at the jail and then we're gonna go to IMH for a meeting.
So they'll be here, and is that something that, I would be allowed to attend?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll send it to you. I think it
Okay.
starts around 10 on the 28th,
Sure.
but it's gonna be, kind of a whole, not a whole day thing, but maybe a 3-hour meeting
Right.
with lunch.
Okay.
Angel,
I do
do you
know,
have a question? Go ahead.
no, I do know that they have information.
You come forward, I can't hear a thing.
I do know that they have information on how to contact the Key Ford Iroquois County Realtors Association to look into properties. Ida will be working on, getting listings eventually of properties throughout the county. That's a big task. But that's one of our tasks that we would like to do eventually. But until then, this is one way for them to reach out to the Realtors Association and find not just, here, but all throughout Iroquois County properties that are available.
Any other questions?
So we'll hear more from Jill after you attend the meeting with the sheriff. Great.
Paul, if we're trying to make a decision on this application today, then I think we should continue the conversation.
I agree.
Otherwise, I think we should move on. For example, the sheriff is here, he's a busy man, if we got some other business.
Give me 2 more and I'll be with you, I promise.
Yep. I used to say I get paid by the hour, but not so much.
I got 24, the Village of
Feel your
Nargo.
pain, partner, feel your pain.
Let's go to Dixon Recovery, which
This is my,
that's not yours.
yeah, all right,
Let's go to here, like so.
okay, thank you.
I'm working on that. John.
Oh, you are? Good. Then I think
Didn't
we
mean to
need.
eavesdrop, but I'm working on it.
Okay, no, that's quite all right. I didn't.
We did that last time in part with the ones that were asking for.
Yes, we did.
Jill, do you have anything on the financials for Village of Nargo? They had us. Do you want to look at it? Village of Nargo, anybody?
What? What?
Financials for the Village of Nargo?
Well, what did they say? Tell us what they said in a nutshell.
Go ahead and take a look at it. That'd be the best. You make your own assumption.
I am kind of working on a list of recommendations from me. Again, it's recommendations. I don't have a vote, for our next meeting. As far as the first 40 applications are concerned.
I would like to be able to consider all of the, and this is what Jill heard me saying to John, all of the village applications and all of the church applications and hospitals and nursing homes and then have those where we looked at them together in groups and decided what we could do.
What I'm looking at, Donna, is more of kind of going through the applications. This is what I'm doing.
I mean,
As
when we
far as a
discussed.
percentage of the funds that would be allocated towards any administrative costs, water, sewer infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, parks and recreation, any business assistance, public health, county public facilities and services, or any nonprofits, including churches, community centers, and.
Yeah, that's what I just said, Jill.
Okay, see, we're mind talking, but, that's kind of what I'm working on. It's taking me a little bit, because I do have, a plate full right now with the audit, but, I will have a draft done for the next meeting.
Great.
You're fine, you're doing great, Jill. We appreciate all your help.
We really.
We wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Well, thank you.
So, did health check ever come in at all and ever present?
Have you got more there?
So they're still not in attendance
No.
today, again?
No, but they did provide
Turn the page.
additional narrative in their financials.
All right, make it quick, where was that, so I can look at it? How far back?
The file I gave you.
Okay, so all we're doing right now is going through the financials. She has the Village of Nargo that she's looking at, because she wanted to look at it. And now I'm looking at number 27, the health check, to look at the financials they have, and I'm asking Jill, if I could find it faster.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hey Jill,
Yeah.
when people come in and I've been referring people to you, do you want me to inform? When people come in and for the, oh no, I don't want, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Alright, well, when people come in for the ARPA app and I refer them, should I automatically tell them, this is the next meeting and? they-
No, because we don't know who we're gonna have for
Okay,
application. I
because
think
it's hard for people,
that's
to-
right.
I would
The best
want the
thing,
people
the
to
best thing
be
to do
here
is just give
so that
them,
these
give them my
questions
email,
are-
give them my email address.
Yeah.
And then, and absolutely, if they're picking
Thank
up
you, Donna.
application, it is, and I've been telling people this too, it
We
is
gotta get back to
absolutely beneficial if they are in attendance to present their application.
alright, then I'll just roll with that flow
Sure.
and
We're good,
just
John.
say, look, here's the next meeting, show up.
Right,
They might pull it, they might not, but be there.
right, exactly. And what I have been doing is, like, we went
I
over the
couldn't
first,
add another meeting this morning.
10, our first meeting, we went over the next 10. I'm trying to do batches of 10, so these meetings aren't
Right,
professional.
right,
They
yeah,
long.
I heard on the first one.
Agree.
You're like,
All right, now we went to the financials. We're gonna start with number 6. Actually, we'll just start with number
Well, did-
5.
Okay, I was saying, you want that.
Yeah, we're gonna start with number 5 with the audio and video investigation room for $4,500.
What other information did you guys, need or want?
Does anybody have any questions on the $4,500 for the investigation room to bill? With the audio
That
and video?
has already been completed and paid for, correct?
No,
No, it's not showing it on here.
no.
Which one are you talking about?
I thought we were talking
The
about
ear
the audio
investigation.
video.
Okay.
We can go to number 6 then?
Number 6.
Yeah, number 6 is.
That was,
Number 6 is the one that was,
Video court and telehealth, we held off till this meeting. I wanted to have a further conversation.
Here's an updated, here's another proposal, for the equipment. It was through Keith Electric. And they're actually a company that kind of specializes, well, Keith Electric, works with another company, that specializes in that type of, system, low voltage solutions. But Keith Electric does have, an employee that lives here in town, and they're trying to get, more of a presence in this area. Their bid was a little bit higher than, what Area Wide's was, by a little over, $1,400. But I think the system that they're going to provide is a little bit more tailored to, what we would use. They've, put these systems in place in other locations, including KCC. Jeff Keese, the owner of the company, has assured me that they would, make the quotes apples to apples when it comes to, services provided.
Well, and may I add that area-wide still gonna need to be utilized to install any of this because of the firewalls and sonic security.
Yes, that is
So
the,
that'll be an additional cost on
yeah,
top.
the only other issue is if Area Wide has to install any of the programs on the computer, that would come at an additional cost.
Well, can't they show the equipment, but is there a quote?
It's in there, it's on the bottom right, of each one of the. You see the-
Oh, I see, yeah.
So the one is for, the courthouse, and then the one is for the jail. So the $11,000 one is at the courthouse, that includes the lockable cart, which Area Wide's didn't. And then for the jail, again, it's kind of apples to apples, both quotes, so.
I guess the question would be, why isn't Area Wide able to provide the similar equipment?
They provided what equipment they thought they, were more comfortable with.
Well, I understand, but I mean, if we came back to them and said, give us a price for this equipment,
We could definitely do that.
I mean, if you're saying this is the equipment we want,
I think the way they set it up, it's an easier, way than what area-wide would set it up, as far as user-friendly. So,
Who's got more of these systems out there running?
I would say this, the other company, Keast, because that's what this low voltage solutions, that's kind of what they specialize in. When I did talk to Area-Wide, they said they're more of a technology company, not so much putting this type of a project together. They said we can definitely do it, but this is just not something that we do all the time. You know, we mainly work on the computers and the projects.
So Keast is out of where?
I think they're out of Kankakee or Bradley.
And area-wide's out of Champaign, so we're out of county.
You're out of county either way. My only thing is with our Tuesday on-site visits, if you have any future issues or whatnot, they can cover for our ongoing visits. However, with that being said, and what Sheriff had just said, with Keith having more knowledge of this equipment, if it will do it. I guess your recommendation would be to go with.
I think that this, if their system is tried and true with other locations, I think we may have less troubles with the spec of the system.
Yeah.
And if we do have any issues, he said, call him directly and he'll make sure that things are taken care of, whether it's remotely or, area-wide said they could do it remotely as well. So that was something important to me to have one phone call to make and say, make it happen.
The other thing is, what, 2 blocks down the road, one's employee works,
Correct.
or lives, sorry.
And I don't know, like, how deep he gets into this type of stuff, but.
And they have other counties or police services that utilize
Yes,
this kind of.
that's what he said.
Okay. They have more experience, I guess, than with area wide.
We're saying that if we go with this, the total cost is gonna be 19.5 plus some additional sum for area-wide to make some interconnections.
Correct, correct.
And is that gonna come back to the county board when we're paying for, area-wide to work on the connecting part? Is that gonna become, who's gonna pay that bill when there's a problem with the connection? That's gonna be an added cost to our budget line item eventually, isn't it?
Well, unless Sheriff wants to pay out of one of his funds.
Well, we haven't,
But normally, yes, it's paid out of the general fund, out of the finance office.
And it's just like, let's get the clear picture here.
Yeah.
We will have, some monies available through the medical assistant recovery grant, that we were able to get. That should be 18,000. And what using this money will be able to allow that money to be used for the medications and the treatments, going forward with that program. So
That's good.
That's what that meeting on the 28th is about. If you wanna come see it.
On the 28th,
Around 10 a.m.
Do they have any, monthly service fees or anything? Keys?
No.
So it's on one and done, if you have any issues, give us a call.
Get a system set up and that's it.
So then it would just be a one-time area-wide cost incurrence for setup.
Correct.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I think this kind of
Which is no, we should.
answers my question of improvement versus a repair. Like a good machine shed, you could put in a new tractor, there won't be improvement to the machine shed, so we're not getting into a conflict that way, right?
No, I mean, this
You see
is,
what I'm getting at, this
Yeah.
is the thing I warned about before.
yeah, this is something totally new for our department, our area. And this will work hand in hand with the courts, make things, a lot better for our overtime issues, for our correction officers being able to
It
move.
didn't make the overall building any better, it just makes
Correct.
everything better out of the building.
Yep, we're trying to do the best we can, with what money we're allowed and what we have.
Yeah.
And within our bounds.
Yeah, better use of the building, but it didn't improve the building.
Right.
What I'm getting at.
Yep.
worried about that, because I don't wanna lose our jail.
Oh, I know.
I think we ought to have an adoption fund for future improvement, future replacement of the jail.
It's coming, I'm sure.
I think we should have one each year, put something in some places, I don't know where, but it shows that we're trying to do our best to replace the jail someday.
I definitely agree, and I think that we're working towards that end.
We're gonna put a fishbowl up here at the county board meeting and everybody can put their pennies in.
Put some tips in there, yep.
Pass around the hat.
From all of us in the county board, thank you for always having open communication with us. That's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Going forward, I'd like to make a motion and a resolution to accept the amount requested of $19,500 for the video court in Tell Health. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Charlie will second it.
I'm not here today.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, you know, hold on, it's money.
Yeah.
Roll call, please. Sorry.
Carl,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
No,
Alt,
Yes.
Hucat,
Yes.
the motion did not include the cost for area wide.
Right.
He will,
You didn't allow for any discussion of your motion either.
Uh-oh.
Sheriff explained that the additional area-wide cost could be covered by this grant.
that was
I heard that, but I don't know why it can't be included for that.
I'm not
Well, what
opposed to
amount?
opening it up again and redo it. I'm not opposed to that at all.
No, not at all.
do it the right way.
Go ahead, John, if you have some discussion you'd
Should
like
we
to.
have to send that or something?
It may be another $1,000 or so, I don't know, have any idea what area wide part will be, but I don't see why we can't bring that out of the ARPA money.
I would agree.
It's all part of the same project, you know.
I was
Even though
thinking,
we don't know the amount today, if we wanna approve the 19.5 with the proviso that
How about I put this motion subject to what it would cost from what you're sourcing is talking about.
how soon is this project gonna be completed?
Depending on how quick they can get the materials as far as the equipment, I would say we could have this up and running within one month.
So if we go ahead and prove it and including the area wide cost, we're gonna know that additional cost pretty soon.
or would you like to have another ARPA application from area wide to cover?
They're not gonna know how much time it's gonna take to do that. It's $100 per hour. I'm assuming if it's just for them to go ahead and approve, the program and to, set up the firewall, that it's gonna take approximately 2 to 3 hours, we'll say.
So do you wanna make the motion, do you wanna cap it, the expense to area wide, like add $1,000?
Yeah.
Like allocate up to $1,000?
The money, we're approving the project, you know, the money, we're not giving a check to the sheriff.
And what you could also do is if you go ahead with what you already approved, the 19.5, sheriff can always put in an application for reimbursement for area wide.
I'd like to just do it all. I think it'd be a lot simpler.
John, would you like to make a
If you
motion or
can,
resolution?
I mean, if you're talking about it from your standpoint of making accounting and making entries and so forth, that's fine. If you just do it that way.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me either way, as far as the accounting aspect
I
of it.
just
I'm
think,
just saying,
making the motion to include it makes the whole process simpler as far as.
Okay.
You know, we got all the bases covered, it's coming out of our.
So I need to make another motion to allow this, Amanda, do I need to make a motion for all this?
it got voted on, so you
There we
have,
go,
yes.
on it, so I would rescind the motion.
Can I rescind my motion,
And then do
please?
a motion.
You have to make a motion to rescind.
Okay.
You have to make a motion to rescind.
Thanks,
the motion.
Don. Got a motion to rescind my motion, please?
I guess I
I second the motion to
Thank you.
rescind the motion.
I third it.
So then we need a new motion.
My motion now reset.
John, you got the words?
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I move that we approve the project to install the video equipment at the Iroquois County Courthouse and Jail in the amount of $19,500 plus an additional allowance of $1,000 to cover area-wide portion of connecting, whatever connections have to be made.
Second.
Are we including the verbiage of, making a motion to adopt the
Yep, I'm gonna
resolution?
ask for it.
Is that
Yes.
to be included?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Okay.
Everything
Sorry.
has to be a resolution.
I'm gonna ask for discussion on it. John, do you have anything you'd like to say about this? Anything else?
I made the motion.
Well, it's up for discussion. We've already had a second, so I'm asking for discussion.
So this,
I think it's.
three,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Crow,
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
All,
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes.
Sorry.
Passes.
It does. Four things.
February 8th, it will come before the board.
Are there any others that we?
So, Sheriff, run the investigation room, don't worry about it.
We don't mind it. I just, I want to make sure we're going, I'm going by the rules.
Don't worry about member.
And your view as an audiovisual for the investigation room, you already, that's all completed. So this would just be Irene now.
I want that was at the end of next year.
Mhm.
There's a few other things that.
Well, they say it, just shoot me a text rather than say, give me a date, just give me a date, that's all. Anytime.
Our current investigation room is, a space with social distancing allowed, interrogations and,
We put it in the list, it's out there for reimbursed.
public defender. I would be okay with listening to
Where's that mic up?
Paul, I would, Paul, I would be okay with approving sheriff's application number 5 for the audio and video investigation room. To be utilized, it can be utilized also for mental health and for public defender, and its intentions were to have a designated area with, enough social distancing space for interrogations, as well as meetings, between public defenders and inmates.
You agree?
Yes.
Do we have any further discussion on this?
On the
John?
room?
Yes, on the room.
Is this the room that Chris has already started working on?
It's completed the work, yes.
He's already completed it.
Yep.
So this would be a reimbursement.
And $4,500, does it?
We were able to source the labor.
4,500 right on the money?
We were able to source the labor and everything, through our department and then locally through, it was that one company that you questioned about being in Indiana. But one of the owners of the company was from, Woodland. So, yeah, I think it did come up, right at 4,500, I believe.
Yeah, it was $2,087 for BT Video Solutions and $2,413 for building materials and equipment. And the invoice is attached and the claims have already been received and paid for.
Do we need a motion for this one?
No, any other further discussion on it? Yes, we would need a motion, a resolution.
I move we adopt a resolution to reimburse the $4,500 for the audio video investigation room.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Crow,
Yes.
Yes.
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
All,
Yes.
Ducat.
Yes. Yeah, your two passes. Motion and resolution passes, I should say. All right, number 8, for the CAD system, JMS records and report for $258,720.60.
this is an amended, application, I guess you would say. It was asked that I provide a breakdown of what the sheriff's office and what, dispatch would possibly pay for this because, dispatch 911 centers were not eligible for the ARPA funds. So I did, get with, Damon from Central Square, and he provided, numbers to the effect of $38,808.09, would be the CAD and mapping cost, that would be associated with 911. I did meet with, the 911 BTSD board, Wednesday evening. I talked to them during the meeting. They agreed to, provide monies for that portion of it. So it actually dropped it down from $258,000 down to $219,000 for our ARPA application, because dispatch is going to provide the money for their portion of it.
So this is a complete reversal. A year or so ago, there was 220,000 from ETSB and 30,000, 40,000 from the county. Now we've switched it.
We've switched it. So the $219,991, if that's a little bit further on in the packet. That would include, the software for the report writing, the record system, the mobile application, the civil and the jail, side of it. And that would also include the software, the server hardware, and the services. And then the maintenance will be split up just as it has been, and we'll actually have to get a MOU together that will explain how the county will pay for, the sheriff's office will pay for its portion of the maintenance, and 911 will pay for its portion of the maintenance.
How will that come out?
About the same as what it had before. The sheriff's office will actually pay a little bit more of it because we're adding in, the report writing and the mobile part of it.
But the county's part has always been a lot less than the ETSB's part. It's been kind of proportional to what we were talking about here.
Right, and then
Why you switched it around?
well, this is for the ARPA part of it.
I understand, but is the maintenance part then gonna be switched around also?
No, it would still, be similar, but again, we're going to add, the report writing and the mobile portion of it. So the sheriff's office's portion will be raised where the dispatch's portion will be.
If you have an approximate, cost of that?
Do you understand why I'm asking these questions?
For the sheriff's department? For
You
the
want
annual
future
cost?
quote. I know what you're saying in the
Total
future.
is 38.8.
I'm asking the question.
Right, for
because
ICOM,
somebody
and then
challenged
what
it.
I'm asking is for your annual
One
fees.
time it was this and now it's that, you
Right.
switched it around.
What do you,
No, I know exactly why you're asking
currently
questions.
That's why we have Edgar County
Yeah.
Watchdog.
What do you know that'll be going forward?
I don't, I asked him to get that kind of broke down.
Sure.
So, I mean, it may be a little bit more.
Okay.
Trying to say,
Annually it's 7.
And, I don't have the numbers on how much that would be. I mean, increasing the report writing and the mobile, that increases it just a little bit more. So it could be maybe another 8,000 a year,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it could be like 85.
possibly. So it could raise the sheriff's office's portion of the maintenance, about maybe 8,000 a year, from the 7,000 that we have to pay. But we've only been paying for the jail and, the civil process.
Right.
So,
And, so with double.
my point, again, is a concern. If somebody, and I just use the Edgar County Watchdog as an example. If they were to come in here and say, you switch this around, it's an illegal use or improper use of ARPA money. Are we running that risk?
I don't believe so, because the sheriff's office still has to have the hardware and the servers, so I,
Well, when you look at your share of the maintenance cost, you kind of going back the other way, what I'm saying.
we're increasing our maintenance costs.
TSP is still gonna be higher.
They're still gonna be higher than us, yes.
Could they give a maintenance cost breakdown before the board meeting?
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna also make it clear, I'm in favor of getting this equipment,
Sure.
but I'm concerned that we might be exposing ourselves in a way that can come back to bite us.
It was my thought that for this to run, we have to have the servers, so if we could pay for those through the ARPA, funds, then that would be beneficial to the whole service.
I'm not questioning that part of it.
Okay.
Just back.
So my thought is, John, are you thinking maybe on the application, we should also have VTSB on the application for the ARPA funds?
Well, not if they're not eligible for it.
Correct, that's,
Yeah, that's why we got rid of them, and that's why they agreed to pay the $38,000, out of their funds. That way it reduced the funds.
But it's a flip flop, but before it was the other way around, the county was gonna be paying a smaller amount.
It was like 60,000, I think it was.
And that would not lock us in as far as like the equipment could still be, it would still be maintained at the 911 center because that's the most, logical place that it would be maintained. There's no sense in it moving to the sheriff's office.
No, I
So it's still be maintained there.
100% on that too. I just don't know if there's a way we can structure this thing. Without being,
Do you think that the ETSB needs to pay more of that cost?
Well, my point is, if somebody, whoever they might be, has a bone that they wanna pick, and alerts a watchdog group or whatever, and say, hey, wait a minute, this is an illegal use of the money. If you go back and follow the trail that exists.
Right.
I'm not sure, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but you're exposing yourself to that, and I'm just trying to say, you know, we recognize that, and also is there a way we can get this thing put together so that we don't have that exposure?
Could I add to what Sheriff Brzez's got going on here? What you have, the majority of the system, so if I can go backwards a little bit into our past, originally the quote was about $183,000 with what we were looking at originally from the ETSB end of it. And to your point, Mr. Sure, you were saying about 50,000 of it was going to be the jail, and now we seem to be kind of flipping that. Sheriff Brzee has added some extras that he felt would be beneficial to his department and others that would ultimately fall to the Iroquois County side of the house. Once we get done changing, so now that we're where we're at now, where of the ETSB side was going to be the CAD, because that is strictly dispatch side of the house, so that would be the ETSB's portion and responsibility. The mapping would also be ETSB. Once we get to jail, the reporting and other features that has been added, that would fall to the sheriff's side of the house as well as the Iroquois County responsibility. So the maintenance in there would also be on the Iroquois side of the house. It would not be on the ETSB's at that point. That discussion would have been held if we would have gone forward with the project initially. We'd have also have had the same conversation of how maintenance was going to fall out. That conversation is just being held now.
So get back to the history of this thing and things that are recorded in the minutes of the finance committee meetings and the discussions that were held. And how you get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we go ahead and do it, then something like I'm suggesting could happen. If that does happen, then we'll have to pay the money out of our own pocket. That's a big chunk of money that we're
you agree that this is a legal use of ARPA funds?
I agree that it's a legal use of the ARPA monies, yes, but I'm just
Paul,
just
we
not
have a
real
representative
comfortable
from
with
Prairie View here,
the history of
so if we
it.
could do that next.
All right.
I mean, if you want to table the meeting, it's just I've been here for 3 hours.
No, we understand.
Because it's 10 o'clock meeting invite, so.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry, Clint, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do need to get back to, so. If
Okay.
you're gonna continue, I'll wait, if not.
That's okay.
We're gonna continue with this until we
Okay.
come to a final decision.
Good.
We understand your time is
Sorry.
very important, also, no, I totally get it. We can do you right after we're done with the sheriff, that's okay with you.
That's fine, thank you, sir.
And I apologize for being lengthy, but as John has stated, we don't wanna do anything illegal.
I just wanna make sure I was still on the agenda, if not, I'll
You are.
reschedule, so.
I believe it's legal. We'll also have Jim Devine look at this to make sure we're not. What's your thoughts on this, Joe? Because I don't see anything that
My
was.
thoughts are, is I would go ahead, I mean, again, it's a project that, you know, needs to be done or whatnot, but I would like to see a breakdown of what the, cost going forward is gonna be. That's my main concern, because once it's paid for, but going forward, past the ARPA funds, what is the maintenance cost gonna be, for us as well as for ETSB? Because if it's, you know, you're saying approximately 6,000-7,000 now, but we're adding on 2 more programs, is it gonna go up $1,000 or is it gonna go up even more? So I would like to see a breakdown of those maintenance costs before anything is.
How about this?
That
How, for that maintenance program, how you two are splitting it up, how is that being taken care of?
Today, right now, the sheriff's office is being requested to pay only for the jail side of it.
Okay.
That comes out to about $1,600 per quarter, so roughly about $6,400 per year.
Okay.
That could change depending on discussion with the ETSB. Sheriff Frazee and I have already spoke about drafting an MOU. We would anticipate that we could get that in front of the ETSB at their next meeting, which is the February the 2nd. And then pending its approval with the ETSB, we could have that on the agenda for the Finance Committee. Unless you want it approved through the ARPA committee.
We're not using ARPA money for that. Are we?
So then it would probably be best to be in front of the Finance IT Committee the following day, so we could have that potentially done before the next county board meeting on February the 8th.
But going forward, you won't be using ARPA money, so.
For the maintenance, no, that would not be,
No.
that's what Mr.
Okay,
Scher
so
just
is that
commented
correct?
on.
So really, it's almost a gentleman's agreement that
Yes.
he gets the bill, he sends us how much the jail portion of the maintenance is, and it's paid.
So do you believe on the 2nd of February, you two, I'm sorry, that you could sit down with the ETSB and come with a decision before the next county board
Well, it
meeting?
would
for
just
the
be a
final
matter
approval?
of what the provider, what their annual costs are gonna be for the
Right.
jail and for, JMS and records and report writing. Because right now you're only paying for jail, which is 6,000, but we're adding essentially 3 more things on. That's all I'm worried about.
So if it's another, is there a ballpark that we wanna stay underneath? Cause if
Yeah,
it's like,
6,000.
if it's say if it's 17,000 total, that's, and now our new, maintenance cost,
Quite a bit.
that's quite a bit.
The other thing to also keep in mind with, when you're talking the maintenance of this product, it's gonna be a year before this new system is gonna be ready to go. So you're not gonna be talking in pretty much maintenance until your FY24.
Right, and either way, we're gonna have to pay it beyond ARPA funds.
And that's also correct, but we're not looking inside of this fiscal year to be kind of wrecking your budget, for lack of better words. This is gonna be something that can be planned for appropriately, is what I'm
So
saying.
there's no need for it to go before the finance committee.
No,
Not until 2024, but my question has nothing to do with budgets, it's going forward, what is the cost gonna be for a sheriff's fees that the county pays for? To have some sort of idea of how that's going to affect ultimately his budget in the future, past ARPA.
they might even have had those fees available yet, to know what it's gonna be, would that be a?
Well, I mean, we know for sure that the total maintenance fee, is $38,808. No, sorry.
Total maintenance fee on the new equipment
Yeah.
is supposed to be less than the.
Yeah,
maintenance fee right now.
$37,228.88 is the annual maintenance subscription. So, and that is less than what we were paying before, and this is a managed server system to where they back up all the data automatically. So right now, what we have, if that server was to go down, then we're on the hook for $40,000 of replacing that server. Now, we don't have to worry about that, it's an automatic, and it's backed up, up until like 15 minutes.
I think everything is great, except that it bothers me, that's all I'm concerned with it about. I think that the way, excuse me, the way everything else is put together, I think it's good and workable, that's something we should do, I just, and we could make a motion to approve it, subject to Jim Devine's, looking it over, but I'm almost sure he's gonna look at it and say, I don't want anything to do with this. If I were him, I probably would want to say the same thing.
What was our maintenance fee before? What were we,
6,400.
60? No, I mean,
The total maintenance,
The total maintenance for our current platform is about $9,400 per quarter.
well, I'm talking about the 37,000 being less. So what's that annually? Give me an annual.
95 plus 35 is 19,000, 38,000.
I can't hear. What?
38,000 is what ETSB is paying, less
Plus
the
the
part the
660.
sheriff is paying.
no, that's total.
38,000, what'd you say?
38,000 annually.
So it's only a little bit less.
But the maintenance, this is the managed server maintenance, as opposed to, we're just paying maintenance on the product, and we still have to go out and buy a new server if that were to fail. This 37,000 includes any and all updates and if the server crashes. So that's definitely a better deal.
Okay.
Central Square also adds generally speaking, the mission critical products are usually said to be replaced in 5 years. While continuing to pay your maintenance, Central Square also will work in replacing said server within that 5 to 7 year time frame.
Work in that additional cost?
No
or
additional
here's
cost,
a
it's
new
provided
server?
as part of the maintenance agreement.
Okay. I have an additional question, but I don't want to interrupt this flow of discussion, so, okay.
I think, and ultimately, I would say table it until we get the breakdown of the maintenance costs going forward.
I didn't think that I had that.
I would also suggest that you try and run this by Jim Devine, even though he may wash his hands of it, and see what he thinks.
Oh, okay, so this
That I
would be,
brought
so
up.
your total annual cost is gonna be this,
Just had agreement with you, Jim.
which is almost
I do not want to
half
talk
the
about
salary.
I totally understand.
That's just, is there anything on here that,
Watch the mobile is right there.
and
And that's
is this something that eventually everybody's gonna have to go to? The mobile portion of it, or?
NBCs, we can get reports and see what we have on NBC, so that's not a necessary.
Yeah. No, you're not allowed to. Nope.
Okay. So what, sheriff is showing me here, the annual fee could potentially go from $6,400 a year for the sheriff's portion to $17,000 $6,126.
Oh, that's significant.
And that includes the mobile part of it though. So if we didn't
So
have.
you could opt out of doing the mobile?
Yes, so if we didn't have this information in the squad cars, to where the guys have that at their fingertips and can do the reports, they would still have to come back to the office to do the reports. So that would cut it down.
I guess my concern with the mobile is how will that be affected? I mean, we're out, you know, the service with cell phones alone is terrible. How,
It's
is
Verizon,
there,
it's Verizon,
so there could be a potential for them not to be able to utilize the mobile portion of it if they can't get connected.
Right, but we're using our MDCs out and about right now, and we're not really having any issues.
You're good out in the boonies and stuff, and
Yeah.
down in the southeast corner. It used to be.
Like with cell phones, it's a little bit different than with this computer.
And is the mobile the only additional thing that is being added on than what you already have?
No, the report writing,
The report writing?
yeah.
I'm out of coffee, it's time for this.
Jill, would you like to table this?
I'd like to
Next.
table it.
I still have a question.
Go ahead, Don.
It's a simple one.
No, you're fine.
Send it to me, or email to me.
This,
Right on it.
this mapping is separate and apart from the grant you are considering with Bob Yergler, or this is not that kind of map? Okay, that was my question.
In
That's
part,
the flyover.
it's in part the flyover that I'm working with Bob Yergler. That information will be implemented into this system, or at least that's the
But
anticipation.
that's separate.
But the cost is not included in the ARPA, that is a separate next-gen grant.
That answers the question.
Sheriff, could you have a side meeting with Jill to get everything situated?
Yep.
With Jill, so, we're on the same level.
Yeah, he's gonna send
That's
it
what I'm
over, so.
seeing.
Yep.
At the same time, Jill, could you please send it to the state's attorney to have him look at it so we can get his blessing? So we can speed it up next time. I apologize, and I apologize to you, sir, back there. It's, everything has to be done legally, and we don't wanna make any mistakes. So I'm sorry for wasting your time. That being said, is there anything else between?
Nope.
All right, moving forward, we will go straight to Prairie Loop Homes for the COVID-19 prevention and mitigation for half. If you'd like to go ahead.
Yes, thank you, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Actually, you, just wanted to check to see if I still included it today or not, so. New to me, working through this, so I believe that as we talk through this, you'll probably, hopefully ask me to come back with some more information, as I have, what I have here today is probably not sufficient, as I've listened to everything else today in discussion as well. I did break it into 6 different sections for you, and this document that I sent as an email, type of document. Looking for the funds for multiple areas. First is our Luther Place. So Prairie Luther Homes is made of 3 entities. It's a long-term care facility, a memory care unit, and an assisted living facility all in one. Luther Place is, the residents have decided that they will have a sunroof. It's an attached building to the facility. They are doing their own fundraising for it. And as I came into the facility, they have $12,000 of the 118, I believe that is the quote for. So we have started to move forward with the project, and we are going to need to utilize other funds, but and hopefully the ARPA funds can be used for that. Essentially, what it'll do is be a building out that they can walk out the door to into a nice sun glassed area, visit their family and friends. As many of you I'm sure know, when we went through this pandemic, the shutdown to nursing homes was probably living in working in that environment was more detrimental than I can really sometimes explain to those people living in that world. Completely unfair to not see your family for a year and a half. It's just ethically wrong in my mind. But so then the first part of that is looking for that money. Faith Place then is a memory care unit. As we've learned and made the challenges going forward, how do you provide food and drink and everything to those areas? We currently bring them down on a steam table and bring drinks and everything down through there. However, when you have an outbreak in those areas, we're trying to avoid any sort of cross-contamination as well. And so looking to have their own water drinks, do some other remodeling in there to try to keep things self-contained in one area and not look across at all. So I don't have the final numbers on that one. I did meet with an architect earlier this week to look for some additional bids and projects, and they have an upgraded plan as well for this area. So I'm just looking for some additional funds to help to pay for some of the project, particularly in the area of food and drink, and to help in that area. Third part then, as you know, the increase in disinfecting bleach products that we need to use just caused some damage to some of our furniture. I don't have specific quotes, but I can get those if you'd like to, exactly how much furniture would cost and what to replace. There are some very technical scanning tools that can be used. We seem to manage fine database using a basic thermometer and screening people and asking if they're been exposed. Anything we can do to help prevent the onset, and some of these tools you might have seen. I think Carl Hospital has them. Some other areas where you go in, scans your face, takes your temperature, logs that information, and continues. I've explored some of those options. I think that they would help in the prevention of as people are coming in and through the facility. As Iroquois Memorial Hospital also spoke earlier about negative pressure rooms, looking for similar. When we do have an outbreak, right now our air is all through the same hallway. It can essentially be transmitted through different rooms. I'd like to, if we have one resident, 2 residents, 6, whatever it is, that we can contain to just those couple ones and not have an outbreak through an entire hallway or entire building. I'd like to obviously try to contain as best we can and convert one room or a couple rooms into negative pressure rooms. Similar to their discussion, it would be allowing to take the air and move it outside instead of circulating within that area. And then lastly is additional costs just to help with our staffing. Healthcare is not averse, like anywhere else, to the fact that we seem to have a staffing issue everywhere. Nobody wants to work. There's other areas that have caused that. Unfortunately, unlike some areas that you go to a restaurant and they say, oh, we shut down early for the day. I can't ever shut down early, and I still have to obviously continue to maintain 24/7 coverage. So we do have agency staff in right now. We're pushing about a $600,000 annual cost for the agency staffing. I'm looking at $150,000 last year just in overtime alone. Those costs obviously are I need to get rid of them. So looking for some additional funds to help with the costs that I currently have, and hopefully in the future can move forward to get rid of those costs. So that's the plan. Lays out the 6 items for you.
I am looking at the HHS funds that you have received.
Yes.
All 752,974.10, those were all HHS funds. Can you tell me what HHS is? What does that stand for?
Yeah,
Words.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Health and Human Services. That's, yes.
Oh, okay.
I thought there was an F
okay.
in there.
Thank you.
Did you say it? Yes, Health, right.
Health and Human Services.
Yeah, I was looking for an F in there too, but yes.
Okay. So, can you explain to us a little bit in, what you use those funds for?
I will.
And have they been depleted? Have they been used?
I will first explain that I've been there 6 weeks, because I came from the hospital for 6 years, so I'm new to Prairie View. So yes, those funds have all been utilized, is my understanding, and they were utilized for the cost of PPE, and some of and staffing costs along the way.
Wages, salaries,
Yes.
overtime?
Agency, exactly, right. PPE is probably one of the biggest ones.
I was gonna say, that's a lot of PPE, but I understand it's all
It's
disposable.
ridiculous. It's constant. The amount of N95 masks we go through, and with the positivity rate as high as it is in our county right now, we have to continue to wear them and utilize them. So.
Jill, you have any questions?
No.
John?
I guess we want more information on a couple of those items, is that right? Number 2 and number 3, number 4.
Yeah, I'd like to see, the cost of replacement furniture that you're talking about that's been damaged.
Yes, fully understand.
And you're talking about other quotes.
Or the replacement of equipment and so forth, yeah. Specifics on that. What else do we need, Joe?
I think that would be good for now, is just a
You got the
specific.
financials and all that other information?
Yep, I understand. And like I said, is listening to others and what you've been requesting, I fully see where I fell short in bringing this to you today, so I will, learning and get this, gather this information, bring it
We're
forward.
all doing this for the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that it for him?
And then we can make sure anybody else here.
We're going straight to the village damage.
Okay.
Greg's here, he's sat here for 3.5 hours.
And thank you all for your patience.
Yeah.
You've been here, this is your second set of meetings.
I would like to have him really quickly speak, if that's okay. Greg, you have anything you'd like to?
10 seconds.
See? A little overview. Good, it's fine, no, you're good. I was gonna have to go through the village damage for the water mains. Is there anything we need from him for, we have all the financials, do we have everything we need from them? I know everybody wants to leave. I get it, I totally get it.
I think we got, I could come out, we got a school strike.
You did, you did. I think that was something I needed from him.
I would agree about this, yeah,
Are we gonna meet before the February 8th board meeting?
yes.
Yes, so that was the only thing that I requested,
You can
so I am
finalize
good with the
before Monday.
financials.
And I would like that meeting for us, I shouldn't have to even look at new applications, but.
I don't have the other things for the effort.
I gotta go.
Okay, Paul,
All right, I'll tell you when the meeting is, if you have to leave.
a working meeting.
Yeah, we need to get one set and on books.
Yeah, to come here too.
And we should probably set that for a stretch of time. Not to
Yours and mine.
say that, but to work on the ones that we got, some of those we said we really needed to focus on.
Okay, well, it's gonna work for everybody to look at it.
Originally, it said the fourth Friday.
I remember we used to be able to find squad
I
cars.
think I can,
Oh,
well,
so you
next
did it.
Friday, the sheriff's. is-
Friday, fourth, we have transportation.
Your cars now?
I
But
think
what I'm saying is you need to
But,
set a
I think it's their
ongoing date
proprietary
with the
system.
rest of the
So they
county
wouldn't, I
committee
mean, they don't let
meetings.
us jump in on their radio.
Going
Well, we
Well,
did, we
that's
set.
that.
You set the
Fourth
fourth Friday,
Friday,
so
and I
can we
think
stick
that's-
to that?
The report writing
That's
system.
what is causing some confusion. I have 3
just
phone
from
calls that
What
said,
they've got to what we have. What
they
we
were
have
coming next
currently
Friday
is-
to present, and I said, no, it's this.
It's a PDF.
And I told everybody
on our old
Um,
report system.
Yeah, because I think it was
So
on
they
the
took our
radio.
old.
It was on the radio.
Because it's
ongoing.
I think the press have picked that up and assumed that it's a county system.
Yeah, so I would do the fourth Friday of every month, so if we did, starting in February.
I'm gonna be
Yeah,
out of town.
I know what you're saying.
That's okay,
I
I
mean,
mean,
there's,
it's
there's a
gonna
lot
happen.
more that goes into
It's
the
gonna happen.
writing for
So
us to
if
add,
you do
because it
February
reports all
25th,
the contacts and all the information, so it's already.
Is
I won't be here, but
You
yes.
grab
I won't
that
be here
call,
either.
Your report is.
That's what-
There you go.
And then you include the narrative, pretty much that's it, yep.
so
Instead of it being,
You want it,
printed out.
Friday,
it was,
is the 20th.
Wednesday,
It's gonna be the 24th, correct?
You don't. Yeah.
Okay.
third,
Okay.
I'm waiting for you.
Well, glad to have you here.
right?
Yeah, it was on March 3rd.
March
Thank
3rd.
you.
So
March
if
3rd.
we have it on the same day,
March 3rd, it's a Thursday.
if we have it on the same day as PUP, we can start at 9:30
When's that, third?
going forward. So,
Nine.
so we're just, going forward, why don't you schedule it for 9:30 on the same day as P&P, which is generally the first Thursday of the month.
I'm not here for that. I'm not on PNP.
We're just picking a meeting.
You weren't
You're
here
good.
today for anything
9:30
either.
at the same
Yeah.
day as P and Z.
Can we go back now to February?
So
Can
we're
we do the,
looking at February 3rd at 9:30 would be the first P&P meeting. It would be at 9, so then ARPA could be at 9:30.
So what is that on
killing me,
Monday?
Jill.
Or,
A Thursday,
I don't get paid enough to do this.
unless there's another meeting that you would prefer it.
Unless you have another,
February 4th, after I for transportation, if that's a possibility.
that would work too, I don't care either
I
way.
can do either the third or the fourth.
Or
Okay.
what works for you.
what time are you talking?
9:30.
If
Better
we do it
than
on,
10:30.
if we do it on the 4th, we'd be at probably 10:30.
On the 4th?
Yes.
We could maybe do
Because
10.
transportation's 9 to 10.
Well, we could do 10
Probably
o'clock,
doesn't
we're
matter.
at the transportation at 9:35.
And you wanna do 10 o'clock on the 4th?
10 o'clock on the fourth works.
So going forward, it's gonna be on the same day as transportation at 10 o'clock.
Well,
And they should get shorter, Barb, hopefully, once we get a little more acquainted to the.
so
the
we're
process.
gonna go with the regular meeting date on Fridays
After
after
transportation,
transportation.
Friday
So,
after transportation.
so
10
forget
o'clock.
about
I won't be
P&P.
there anyway.
yeah,
February
forget
4th.
about P&P.
Now, when is
So then
this
your
Just
first-
drive
Friday?
right behind me, just
When
don't
is
hit me.
Friday gonna be?
10 o'clock.
This
The 4th,
The
February 4th
on
is
February.
the,
All right.
Paul
And then
I aren't gonna
ongoing-
get paid for any of our meetings.
No.
Paul and I aren't gonna get paid
I
for
think
any
I'm
of our
gonna miss
meetings.
that next P
Can
and Z,
I
because I
ask,
think I
should we
get those
schedule
down
for
to.
10 or 9:30?
I'm not sure.
I think 10, we're always.
I'm almost sure.
10
Well, that's
o'clock on
why
the
I'm
4th.
asking 9:30 or 10, because if,
by the time you have to travel from there to here, it
Go
might be
back.
better doing 10. Okay.
So we have a February 4th at 10 a.m.
And then
Going
ongoing is gonna
forward.
be after transportation at 10 a.m.
Okay.
We're doing February? I'm so confused.
February 4th.
February 4th, 10 a.m. That's all you
Sorry,
gotta
Greg,
know.
forgot to go through all this. Sorry, Mike, forgot to go through all
And
this.
then going forward after highway.
Waiting on John anyway, right?
No, he left.
I'll get it later.
So there's 4
Oh,
months
you
left, we
know
still
that.
do something.
I'll email it out.
Greg, on the Village of Danforth, number 22 and 23 for the water main repair, water main replacement. Is everything that Jill asked for, does she have it all out?
I believe she just said she did.
Yeah,
Is
I
there
got their financials.
Any questions on this?
I don't have any questions. I would like to,
Are you wanting to do like John said and put all of the towns with their,
like I explained earlier to Donna, I am working on, recommendations for the committee. I would, by far, yes, your projects would definitely qualify, and I would definitely like to allocate some funds to that. However, I want to make some recommendations to the committee as to, percentage of our ARPA funds for each, category, so that we can make sure that each and every aspect of what ARPA funds were intended to be used for are used for. So as far as an amount goes, I don't have a
They're spot
recommendation
on.
at this time.
no, but what they're doing,
But yeah.
they're under the 50,000, put in 2 applications.
Right.
And our eyes are spot on, but we'd like to get all of the towns to find out what the situations are with each one of them.
Not necessarily.
No?
No, I just would like to see, what I'm doing is I'm getting together a recommendation for the committee as far as a percentage of each category, that I would recommend the funds to be utilized for. Now, in Danvers' case, yes, they absolutely do qualify. I just wanna make sure that a certain percentage of that is, going to be available to allocate to other water or sewer infrastructure applications. So at this time, I would, like to hold off approving any other applications until our February 4th meeting.
So on February
Because
4th.
I am also, I'm sorry, I am also waiting on Jim Devine to
Yeah.
get back to me
I
with
think your
the,
wife's waiting on that.
because we've approved 3 already, through the county board, and I'm waiting on Jim Devine to get back to me on the, paperwork that will need to be signed by the applicant when they receive their funds.
And we approved one more today?
Well, it
No,
has to
that
go
is
through the
all
county
three.
board. We
Well, I
approved two
mean,
more
to
for
go-
the county,
We recommended.
right, to go through the county board,
Two
but
more,
I
right.
don't wanna just keep approving until Jim gets me my documents, because I already have 3 entities that are waiting for checks, because I don't have the documents to be signed to go with it.
So are we jumping too far ahead and having the February 4th meeting?
No, I will push him.
Okay,
So
that was my next question, was
Yeah.
gonna be you.
I had said that I thought the committee needed a working without listening to application presentations and reviewing applications. So do we have a date to do that, or do we
We
know?
can do that on February
Yeah,
fourth,
we
that
do
could
it.
be a working,
That's a working.
Yeah,
a working day.
that's my next question. I don't think we should wait till all the money, because that may take 3 or 4 months. Some of this money in your categories are fine, but we ought to have a cutoff date. To that point, we'll see what's available and work with those.
And that's similar to what I'm putting together, Charlie,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a day in April. That's
Yeah.
pretty far out, because some of these people like to have their money and go to work.
Right, but before we keep approving applications, I'm pushing, or I'm asking, but I'm gonna get a little pushier about getting my documents, so we can award some of this money, but I would like to say on February 4th, you know, we can approve more, and then,
No, he said just.
recommend them to go to the county board.
We will approve more on the fourth.
Do you have any questions, sir?
Chew up what we've got
Okay.
here.
Well, we just-
Get your-
Right, and then the 4th will be a working day.
Use as we are.
Or to go
Oh,
down
the
the board.
fourth Friday, and we're on transportation.
Let's talk to you after the meeting real quick. Sure. Can we make so we're doing the February 4th meeting?
And ongoing, and it's gonna be held at 10 o'clock.
Alright, already spoke to John, he's good. He was wanting here to, he wanted to see us mess.
Well, I did turn in a app.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
I have it.
that'll come up next meeting maybe?
RV, what are you for RV clean?
No, it was for.
For Lori?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
Lori.
yeah, that, it's still gonna be discussed at the next meeting on the 4th.
Okay,
The committee needs to do some work on the 40 applications we've gotten.
okay.
And, since I am waiting on award documentation from the state's attorney, before I can issue any award checks, then, we're going to hold off and have a working meeting on the 4th and make some more recommendations for approval to the county board.
Okay. Now, are you a member of the county board now?
No.
He's financial director, that's why we have to.
They employ me.
Okay.
Yes, I work for the county board as the finance manager.
Just counting on our pennies.
Alright, now that we're
Well,
done.
I know you guys are voted in,
Mhm.
and yet she's making suggestions. I had a lot to make too, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's all I can do.
I wondered how she gets to
Yeah.
do that.
I made recommendations and suggestions to the committees to take to the council.
Alright, is there any old business?
They don't always follow me, trust me.
Any new business?
None.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I saw moved.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I
All
do
opposed,
think
same sign.
when we come at 10 o'clock on the fourth, we need to plan to be here.